Hi guys, welcome back. Today I am here with a review of The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kiersten White. This book comes out at the end of September 2018, and I did pick up an arc of this book at BEA this year and finally got around to it, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about it because I really loved it. The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein is a retelling of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein novel, but through the perspective of Elizabeth Frankenstein. One thing I will say about this, I think anyone could enjoy this book, but I think you will probably appreciate it a lot more if you have read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and this is true I think for several reasons. Number one, a lot of the pop culture surrounding Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster is quite different from what was in the original book written by Mary Shelley. So a lot of people have these misconceptions about what the book is really about and what it's trying to do based on seeing films or other adaptations, which are not really accurate to what the book is about. And this book really draws on the original. There are a lot of nods to the original story throughout it, which I think were just so well done. It's a wonderful homage to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in a lot of ways, but it is also a very dark, creepy, interesting character study with lots of atmosphere, and I loved it. So even if you know the story, it doesn't at all make you spoiled for the book. All of that said, if you guys are familiar with the original novel, you might know that Elizabeth Frankenstein was the sort of childhood friend of Victor Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein is the doctor who created the monster, Frankenstein's monster. And actually the monster is not named Frankenstein, the crazy doctor who created the monster, it's Frankenstein. So that is sometimes a little bit of a misconception. But in the book, Elizabeth Frankenstein is his sort of childhood friend and love interest that he's really obsessed with. And so this is told through her perspective, and it is brilliantly done. It definitely has made me want to pick up more from Kiersten White, so I have And I Darken on my TBR because I was such a fan of this. In The Dark Descent, you really see Victor Frankenstein portrayed as a complete sociopath, and it is terrifying and very well done. And like I said, he loves and is obsessed with Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is a really interesting female character because we see the way that she is circumscribed by the constraints put on women in her day and age and the things that she has to do to survive. She is an orphan who was adopted as a companion for Victor when she was a child. So in order to keep her livelihood, in order to really survive in this very harsh world, we see her take on this persona of sweetness and innocence and perfection and being exactly what Victor and his family want her to be, when in reality, internally, she is quite manipulative, she is very smart, and so she is a fascinating person to read from the perspective of. It's also interesting because going into this, as a reader, if you're at all familiar with the story, you know what Victor has been up to in terms of creating this monster and playing God, but Elizabeth does not know. And so in a lot of ways that increases the tension as she is slowly discovering the horror of what he has been up to and deciding how to handle it and what to do as a result. Obviously, I loved this book. It was definitely a 5-star read for me, and I think it is the perfect book to pick up for Halloween. Also, this is one that I would recommend for anyone. I know it is a YA book, but I think that it will do very well across any age range. I think that if you have read Frankenstein, if you liked it or if you love it, definitely go pick this up. If you have not read Frankenstein, I would recommend at least familiarizing yourself a little bit with the story, even if you don't want to read the entire book beforehand, maybe kind of spark notes it, because I just think that you're going to get a lot more out of it if you do that. I've read some reviews from people who didn't, and there were some things that confused them a little bit, but I think you could read it without having any prior knowledge of it, and it's still a good story, but I think there's a lot more richness that you get in the way that she nods to the original in some really interesting ways. This is, I want to say the 100th anniversary, 110th, I don't know. It's some anniversary of the publication of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and it is an amazing little book considering the fact that it was written by her when she was 17 or 18 years old, and it's become this amazing work of literary fiction, even though at the time it was really looked down upon by her husband, who sort of dared her to do it. Anyway, she is an interesting character. Mary Shelley, definitely go look her up. Her history is just fascinating, and she's brilliant in the things that she did. Okay, I will stop there, but I am a big fan of this. Definitely go and check it out. It comes out on September 25th. And I will link it down below if you guys want to purchase it there. So talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know if you guys have read Frankenstein, if you've read this book, any of your thoughts. I would love to chat with you about this because I'm really excited about it. I think it's just amazing. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.